Hi, I'm Mike. I'm a researcher with Gray Paper Legal.
Hi, I'm Karen. I'm the director of the Hennepin County Law Library.
Hi, Karen. Welcome. Uh, what was your most interesting legal research question of the week?
Well, we were confronted with a term I had never heard before, and that was a patron interested in learning more about the law and regulations around cabotage.
Cabotage, and that is how you pronounce it. I was wondering. I was curious to know if you were going to pronounce it the same way as me.
Yeah, I pronounced it that way because when I looked it up on Wikipedia, the very first line was not to be confused with sabotage.
Yeah.
So I went with that.
I love these kinds of questions because you and I are both lawyers, but when a question like this comes in, it's like, did I miss that part in law school? And it's the first thing I did too, is I looked it up on Wikipedia. What is cabotage?
Yeah, well, and I still can't really give you a very good definition, except to the point that, if an international ship comes into a port and drops off goods and sails away, that's all fine. But if it starts running up and down the inland seaways, then are they actually transporting within United States borders, and what different kinds of regulations kick in?
The inland waters, as I understand it.
Yeah,
That's interesting. Well, you did a very good job of much better than I would have of describing it. I also found this article. We'll walk through how we discovered that it might be related to the Jones Act. But also recently in the news, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this from 2017, controversial Hurricane Maria. International ships couldn't deliver emergency aid to Puerto Rico because of the Jones Act. So the president had to waive provisions of the Jones Act to permit emergency aid into Puerto Rico. So yeah, super interesting. So you and I both had, I think, the same instinct in finding the Jones Act. I think and that was we both jumped into the indexes for the Code of Federal Regulations and the U.S. Code, and I think neither one of us found it in the federal regulations. Is that right? I did not
right.
see it. I did not see it
Right.
there.
Yeah, to that point, Mike, I mean, I think what we both did was just do a broad Google search to even understand what I didn't even know what the term cabotage had to do with. I couldn't have told you if it was about shipping or anything else. So first I kind of got like oriented and then thought, well, the question was about regulations. So I went to the CFR and I was not finding much there.
Yeah, that sometimes you will get those very industry specific terms, in which case, great. You'll pull up 3 regulations, but it's industry specific. So that's the one you're looking for. The examples I always use in my presentations is like slack fill, which is a food related term, or white chocolate. I forgot who tipped me off on that one, but white chocolate comes up twice if you do a nationwide search, once in the CFR food labeling, and as it turns out in New Hampshire, you can use white chocolate to bait bear for hunting. It's permitted in New Hampshire for some reason. So I thought, great, this is going to be a super easy search. Turns out that's not the case. It seems to be more of a legal doctrine than it is, and again, something I don't remember learning in law school, rather than a specific industry term. The indices, you have a paper volume at the law library. Is that correct? I didn't know those existed anymore.
Yeah, that's right. We actually keep one set in paper for those of us who just instinctively go to a paper index. Yep.
That's awesome. The link here on and most statutes have this. Not the state statutes. Minnesota has a good statutes index. Not a lot of states do. They are available in Westlaw on all of those, and it's just in the upper right hand corner here. We do index, so we did find it in the USCA index. C for cabotage. We'll scroll all the way down. It exists here, right? There it is. Yep. Cabotage, and there it is. Coastwise voyages, ships, and shipping. And that, I believe, is the Jones Act right there, or the Merchant Marine Act of 1920. The history from my own Google research was that after World War One, where they had to ship goods and Marines overseas during World War One, they had to rely on international vessels, and they rather thought that might be a dangerous thing for future conflict. And so a law came into being, the Jones Act, or the Merchant Marine Act of 1920, which held that you had to have merchant marines which were flagged in the U.S. So there it is. Now, the request was for the CFR, for the regulation,
Right.
and our searches didn't deliver a lot of results. I did a search. I love these websites from just the .gov websites. Do you use these at all?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And ECFR in particular, I haven't looked at it recently, but it for years was more up to date and accurate than any of the paid vendors. I worked with a librarian who used to do these comparisons, and he'd just say, go to the government CFR website. That's one that's updated more promptly. I don't know if that remains true, but I got used to going to it. So ecfr.gov is a great one.
I just think it's so cool. Here's a reference to AirCat. We just don't know whether or not we found what the patron was looking for here, or we're still fishing around a little bit, but we do get a number of results. What did we have here? 29, I think, 19 results, 29 results, I think we had in the CFR. So
Yep.
A really great set of results. And I just love the way these are organized. You can even compare dates in the ECFR, and you can choose the color you want to see. The red line version. This is just
Right.
there are developer tools here. I love this. I love these websites. I just get excited by what we might be able to do with these kinds of things.
Yeah.
You've got these little URL, especially if you're in the Federal Register. You've got 100 pages in the Federal Register. You've got these little links that you can copy to the specific paragraph. Very, very cool. 29 results. If we do the same search, and I'm just going to remember that we're at the Jones Act here, but if we do the same search in the CFR, and I've run a search here for cabotage, we get a lot more results than just that keyword search. That's I've got 105 results here. Another clue, I thought, as to why this is doctrine. This is not very similar results up front here, but Westlaw's doing other work on the search, just looking at related materials that are provided by attorney editors and their own natural language processing. So that's like, oh yeah, you know what? This is doctrine. This is not a specific legal term here. So there's a bunch.
And Mike, isn't Westlaw also searching, because the CFR is annotated on Westlaw, so it's probably picking up the word cabotage if it's in some of those notes of decisions or other references?
Yeah. I actually had to reach out to one of the reference attorneys, which used to be the role that I had back when I was at the Writers Department. I'm like, wait a minute, what's happening here? There are at the bottom. Let's see if I can find one. There's something called relevant additional resources.
Oh,
and
sure.
So I said, are these, and some of these aren't even citing, they're not just the citing references to the document. What the reference attorney told me is that, because I don't believe this was here when I was there, but the references is law review. The law review, I believe, does not cite the regulation, but was recognized as a term that's related to this area of law, because the attorney editor and the AI machine said, hey, you know what, that's probably something you want to take a look at that's related to the statute. So we get 105 results. I think we can, I wonder if we do a more targeted search, we get the same results. Now we still get 105. So even if you use the straight up Boolean, you still get the same number of results.
Right. Yep.
So we were looking for the cabotage regulation. It doesn't appear to be one, and correct me if I'm wrong here. The way that I've done this in the past is, oh, I'm sorry, I was in the right spot there after all. So we're in the Code of Federal Regulations. For something like this, what I'll do is a credit field search on the statute, understanding that the statute, and I did 102 here, there are actually several statutory references that are probably relevant here, but for the sake of demonstration, what Westlaw has that the government website does not have is the full credits field. So we see what statute authorized that agency to promulgate this regulation. That's in the credits field. So that's what this search is here, the credits field, and then 46, and then within 10 words after the number 46, the statutory reference, the section reference, and another.
Why did you do it within 10 words?
I'll show you. Yeah, usually I'll do.
Because usually I do. I always default to within 2 whenever I'm not sure. 2 or 3.
And I did that at first, but as you can see here, we've
Oh,
got a long
gotcha.
list, and some of these are this is why the law is complex. If you look at some of these regulations, there is a lot of stuff going on here. It's got a very, very deep, not legislative, but regulatory history. I mean, there's a lot going on here. Mapping this out is just madness. And
Mike, this is the point always when I do research for a patron, where I'm glad I'm the librarian and I can just say, you know what, here's a results list and have at it. Let me know what else you need. Because like you said, it's so Byzantine to start picking through individual regs like that.
I know, and that's that is so true. I think things like these treasury decisions, you click on that and you're like, oh yeah, and then it's just layer upon layer. It's not a single reference; it's multiple references. It's just I wish we could wrap this up in a bow for we don't have the cabotage regulation for anyone, but I hope everyone's enjoyed this trip down the rabbit hole.
And I want to bring back cabotage, Mike. Let's think of a way to incorporate it into our daily speech.
Well, you teach, right? I mean, we could probably do a little adjunct work over at one of the local watering holes on
Sure.
All right, well, thanks everyone for joining us. If you have your own legal research question you like to share with us, send it to matters@graypaperlegal.com. That's matters at gray with an A, graypaperlegal.com. And maybe we'll highlight your question as part of our webcast. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Thanks. Bye all.
Okay, we'll see you on the next Zoom.
Yes. All right. Should we go right there or?
Let's. Yep.
Okay. Sounds good. All right.